bring in some lawyers to get some legal analysis of what's going on here. Joining us now is Matt Murphy, former homicide prosecutor, and Jesse Weber, NewsNation's legal contributor and Law and Crime Network host. Jesse, if these allegations are true, it's stunning.
I cannot overstate how much of a big deal this is. You know, in law school, we talked about jury misconduct. This is a textbook example of it. So
if it's true.
If this is true, immediately, I think we're going to get an evidentiary hearing to see all this to be sussed out. If the court sees this as true, there is absolutely no way in my mind Alex Murdaugh doesn't get a new trial. Because the main question is, do things happen? Do sometimes people say things to jurors during the course of the case, like, how's the weather? They shouldn't be talked to. Yes, those are called harmless errors. But to speak to the jurors about the actual subject matter of the case and pressuring them about their verdict, this is totally improper. And yes, I watched the trial. Did I think Alex Murdaugh should have been found guilty? Yes. But that doesn't mean that he's not entitled to a fair trial like every criminal defendant.
Matt, you have prosecuted countless homicides, successfully, I might add. Have you ever heard of this kind of misconduct by a court clerk?
No, I've never heard of that. This is an extraordinary accusation. I have a feeling there's going to be a totally different side of this story when she tells her side of it. Remember, the court staff has to have contact with jurors. It's a part of the process. The bailiffs, the clerks have to do that. So this is it's a big accusation. Let's see if they can follow it up with big evidence. It's also important to remember this is a two-step process. First, the court has to determine whether or not this misconduct actually occurred. The next step is the court has to make a finding that substantially prejudiced Mr. Murdaugh in his trial. So both of those prongs have to be satisfied before a new trial motion can be granted.
Right, but Matt, if the court clerk is back there telling, hey, don't believe this guy when he's up there crying on the stand, how is that not unethical or even illegal? I mean, that can't possibly be proper.
Well, no, of course not. It's not. It wouldn't be proper if it happened. But right now, we've got allegations from the defense. And believe me, this is the first time I've heard an accusation quite like this regarding a clerk. I have heard other accusations against clerks over the years that a lot of them tend to go nowhere. So we'll see what happens. I mean, everybody's got to have an open mind. It's going to be very interesting. But I'll tell you what, it would be shocking if true. But I've seen a million motions for new trial based on juror misconduct over the years, and few of them go anywhere. It is a very high standard to get a new trial granted based on juror misconduct, especially in South Carolina. So we'll see.
I'm curious, Jesse, if in fact they're able to meet all these high bar marks and get a second trial, which, as Matt just accurately pointed out, is very difficult to do. This doesn't usually happen, although in this case it certainly sounds.
This usually doesn't happen.
Yeah, this doesn't happen either if it's true. If there's another trial, can they admit? I mean, Alex Murdaugh's own several days on the stand were seen as so damaging to him that it was like not just the nail in the coffin, it was all the nails in the coffin.
Right.
Can they admit his testimony from the first trial?
It's a great question. And in South Carolina, there is a rule that traditionally says that the criminal defendant's testimony cannot be used in a future criminal proceeding unless he's brought up on perjury charges for what he said on the stand. However, if he were to take the stand a second time, I can't imagine a judge wouldn't allow his prior testimony to be used to impeach him, basically saying he's not telling the truth, he's not credible. And I think that's going to be a really interesting question about whether or not he takes the stand. And let me tell you this, everybody was watching this trial. So getting jurors who didn't see any of it and not going to be able to vanish their minds from what they saw and heard from Alex Murdaugh and just going in clean, that's going to be difficult. Whether or not his testimony is actually admitted in a second trial, a lot of people saw it, a lot of people heard it, and it's hard to escape that.
Yeah, Matt, how did he hurt himself as his own witness in his own trial?
Well, the prosecution hit a home run because he got caught in a lie. He got caught in a big, giant lie. He said certain things to the jury regarding his location, and then they produced audio evidence that contradicted that. Another thing he did that really hurt him, based on juror interviews afterwards, is he's an attorney. His family was multi-generational. He cried a lot, and he cried to the point that I think a lot of the jurors believe they're being manipulated. And I think that I wasn't there, but I bet Jesse would agree. There was probably more than one person in the courtroom that believed the same thing. He was hamming it up, which in and of itself is a lie. So he didn't do himself any favors.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.